The Monday, March 7th, 2016 meeting and public hearing of the City of Falls Church Planning Commission is now in session. Ms. G, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Jean?
Present.
Ms. Hockenberry?
Here.
Mr. Rankin?
Here.
Ms. Rogers?
Here.
Ms. Teets?
Here.
Mr. Meeks and Mr. Wodisco are absent.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So move.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Agenda is adopted. Are there any people in the audience who would like to speak to the Planning Commission on items that are not on our agenda, Yes, sorry. Seeing no one. Oh, yes. Please come forward. Use this microphone and give your name and address, please.
Okay. My name is Doug Gudenkoff. I live at 604 South Spring Street here in Falls Church. I wanted to make some comments about the West Broad Street Small Area Plan. I'd like to put forth the following ideas and thoughts regarding building height. In thinking about why an accepted height limitation works at the current Harris Teeter and Tinner Hill projects now underway and the Mason Row project soon to be underway, is the availability of a pressure relief valve. Pressure will arise from the relative gigantic change that will take place overall, but specifically the pressure generated by ingress and egress of building inhabitants and customers arriving and leaving the newly created commercial establishments. What is the pressure relief valve? It is Annandale Road on the south perimeter of Harris Teeter project, and it is South Maple Street on the north side of Tinner Hill project, and it will be West and Park Streets at Mason Row. No concomitant roadway along West Broad from the 400 to the 900 blocks offers such an escape hatch to relative pressures of increased population and traffic that will be generated from future development. Therefore, a height exception of this magnitude given in these projects will hopefully not be given for the projects to be anticipated along the 400 to 900 block segment of Broad Street. The sense of space that exists at these projects, each with a strategic street at the project border, is an understood reality that is perceived by people and valued because they offer a moderate degree of spaciousness. My concerns surrounding the special exceptions of building height are many. I believe that if each and every project that comes along is given a special exception, Broad Street will, to use an analogy printed in the news press, take on a canyon perception. But ultimately, I think that giving a special height exception to each and every project creates a structure of lopsided disproportionality of scale compared to the width of Broad Street and the structural dimensions making up the surrounding neighborhoods. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you may know that we just have come from a work session and I think that some of your concerns are being addressed. One, that you will have another opportunity to comment on this because the City Council seems to think that it needs a little bit more time to reach out to neighbors and the community. So I think that's a good thing for
Good.
you.
All right.
Thank you for comment.
All right.
But could I just
sorry.
ask?
Yes, go ahead.
I thought it was very interesting with your mention of the different streets being pressure valves. And since I wasn't writing quick enough, could you possibly give us a copy of your remarks?
Sure, I can do that. They're in rough form now, but I'm gonna
Good, because
recopy it.
I like those comments. I wanted to look more at them.
Okay,
I'm much more of a visual person.
I'll send you an email.
And if you do, and when you do get them in writing, you finalize them, it would be good to send them to City Council as, in a letter as
Okay.
well.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak on items other than are on the agenda? Thank you. We'll proceed to, we have no old business, so we will move on to new business. First order of new business is a special use permit for home daycare at 1004 North Roosevelt Street. We've been asked to make a recommendation to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Do you have a presentation on this, Ms. Rizzi?
I don't have a presentation, but I can give you a brief overview. The applicant was operating a daycare that cared for 5 children, which was a by right use in the code. They didn't need a permit up until this moment. She would now like to have 12 children. That requires a special use permit. In terms of the comp plan implications, there isn't an implication there since there's no construction involved. She did expand her home some years ago, and she has a building permit for that, but she's just coming in for an expansion of the operation for the daycare.
Are there any comments on this particular application from the
Yeah.
Planning Commission?
Does that necessitate inspections and everything to make sure everything is up to code for a daycare expansion?
The building permit was reviewed and approved for the expansion because that occurred a few years ago. In terms of the daycare itself, zoning doesn't inspect, but she does need to comply with state requirements and county requirements, and that's a whole different process than one that's involved in the city. So we don't do an inspection, no.
But there will be some follow-through of someone looking into this?
Yeah, absolutely. She would have to do that with, I believe, the state, and she can shine a light on that.
Okay.
Kind of a follow-up to, because that's what I was wondering when they talked about in compliance with provision, Chapter 8, Article 6 of the city code, if that city code reflected the state code, which really,
Yeah, I was told
Yeah.
that. I actually talked to someone in the Housing and Human Services Department, and they follow up on those topics. She did say everything that was in that section of the code is from the state.
that's what I
Yeah.
assumed, because this is really a state code issue.
Yep,
Yeah,
mhm.
okay.
Mr. Rankin? No? Mr. John?
Yeah, just for clarification, we just making a recommendation to zoning on this?
That's right.
Okay. And this application is for a special use permit?
That's right,
To allow her to increase the number of children
from 5 to 12.
from 5 to 12
Yep.
outside? Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I had one more when you were done.
Okay, you go.
Okay. No, I was just going to ask, is something like this advertised to the neighbors? Will the BZA meeting, I guess, be advertised?
Yeah, we send out letters to the neighbors, notifying them of the Planning Commission meeting and the Board of Zoning
Okay.
Appeals meeting.
And we
Okay,
didn't
good,
receive any
thank you.
comments back from it, so.
No, we actually received a petition saying that
Oh.
there hadn't been a problem in the neighborhood.
Oh, you're right, I saw that, sorry. Okay.
Well, I do have a couple of questions. In the cover memo, it says expanding from 5 to 9, and you're saying 5 to 12. That's quite a difference.
I was told 12. She said she wanted to have up to 12 children. Do you want to come?
And looking at the photos, are all these children infants? Because there are an awful lot of cribs.
I'm not aware of the age, but I think
Would
she
you
can.
come up so that we can ask these questions? Please. You have to use the microphone, please.
Yeah, infants to until 3 most of the time. They stay now until 2.5 because they, most of the time, the parents take them to centers. So
Right.
most of the time, they they stay with me 3 months to until 2.5.
So you would
but-
have, go on.
That is the age that right now I have 4 kids. They are 5 of them, 1 2-year-old, and the other rest 1.5 and the infants.
But you would
Like
have to
1-year-old.
you would have to have cribs for all of them except, say, toddler, except 2.5.
Yeah, I have 3 rooms that I'm using, plus I extended another, a 12 by 10 room for them to play again, for the
Right.
infant. I'm going to separate infants in one section and the a 1.5 years old, they can play another section, kind of situation I try to.
Right.
This,
And how many staff do you have?
Pardon?
How many staff people to take care of these 12 children?
Right now, one lady come and help me by the time from 10 to 12 until they eat and go to sleep. But when I started extended, then I'm going to hire at least 2 persons to help me.
All right, and what about parking for the staff?
I have 70 by 15 feet in my inside my driveway, plus 20 by 8 feet. So I'm going. Most
So you
of
would
the-
be able to park three or four cars?
Yes, around 6-7 cars they can.
Oh, okay, so you have a big parking area?
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
so if you actually had a full complement of 12 infants or 12 children under 2 or 2.5,
I-
you would have 3 or 4 people watching them?
They not. I don't think they allow us to have all infants. Maybe
Okay.
they have separate.
Yeah,
kids.
you know the regulations, that's good,
I
okay.
know regulations.
I'm just trying to put myself at ease about the safety of the children.
Yeah, I am. And I sign up with the neighbors. About all these 7 years I had my daycare.
Uh-huh.
They even don't know sometimes. They ask me, you had a daycare around here? We didn't know.
Oh, that's
So
good,
because
okay.
it's no noise or anything. I have big yard that they can play and no interferes and have fenced and everything for safety.
Okay. Thank you.
And what about pickup and drop-off?
They drop
Hours.
off kids for 5-10 minutes and they just talk and they leave. In the evening, they come and pick their kids.
And that's
Don't take that
staggered?
long, but time to time they come. They don't come all in one time. Time to time. Some parents come little earlier, some parents come little later.
Any further questions from planning commission?
Thank you.
Okay, are we ready to, thank you very much for your
Thank you.
clarification. Are we ready to make a recommendation on this? Sure. Okay. Lindy, would you like to do that, please?
Oh, where is it? I haven't even found it. Right there? Okay. Okay. I move that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals that the special use permit U1579-16 be approved with the following conditions. Number 1, the special use permit be valid for 3 years from March 7, 2016. Number 2, there will be a maximum of 12 children at any one time. 3, the hours of operation will be limited to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday. Number 4, the child care operation shall be in compliance with the provision of Chapter 8, Article 6 of the City Code. And 5, the permit is not transferable to other businesses, properties, or persons.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to follow Lindy's recommendation to this Board of Zoning Appeals. Ms. G, would you call the roll on this item, please?
Ms. Hockenberry?
Yes.
Mr. Rankin?
Yes.
Ms. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Teets?
Yes.
Mr. John?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. We seem to have no other business. We'll move on to the approval of minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look at the February 16th draft minutes?
Yep.
Yes? Are there any comments or any changes?
Want a motion?
All right, is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I move that we accept the minutes as they stand at this point for Tuesday, 16th of February, 2016.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
All right, and there are 4 of us here, so
Please vote.
who are vote?
Yep.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I have to abstain.
Abstain. We have 1 abstention. Thank you, Mr. John. Moving on to the minutes of February 22nd, 2016. This is our CIP hearing, so,
Yeah.
but because it's a summary, we don't get some of the nuances.
Yeah.
I just have one question. This was an unrecorded meeting as far as video. Was there an audio?
No, there was not.
Oh, wow. So you had to take all these
The
minutes?
city's cable crew put it on YouTube instead of on a DVD as they normally do, and then I had to listen.
So we could have gone viral?
Would you like me to email that to you?
Wow, we would have contained ourselves more, I think, if we'd known. Okay, so I have just one comment. In the first sentence, my name is misspelled. Other than that,
That's happened to you lately.
pass the test. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I so move.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Oh, as amended, sorry. Opposed? Motion passes. Planning Commission reports.
I
yeah.
have a couple things, and you have a couple things. And I just want to mention, I don't know if anyone else here did the West Broad tour of the Harris Teeter building, of the apartments and things?
No.
They had on Saturday.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting going in there because one of the big changes we had in that design is we forced a lot of the building mass back, which gave them a big balcony above the first floor. And the most interesting, fun spaces there were actually in that space. They
Right.
had a outdoor TV area for like Super Bowl parties, football parties, and with grills out there, so they're expecting to have like tailgating on their balcony. The pool was out in that section.
And the other one, yeah.
They have a high fence there on the balcony?
Yeah, pretty high, actually, yeah. I guess that's good for tailgating, but.
Yeah, that's what
I
I
think you
figured.
move from going outside. No, there was a pretty high rail, and we actually didn't go out there because it was pretty cold that day, but we walked around and saw it. They have an indoor club space as well that is almost all glass and kind of looking out there. You have a beautiful view of the Pearson building from up there. You really see it nicely. Anyways, but went into some of the units. One thing I was interested about is that the rents were a little bit higher than I remember them saying they were
They
going
are
to be.
high.
Melissa?
So the corner, this is a corner 2-bedroom with all glass in the living room, kitchen area, but it was $3,300. Yeah, so I think when we had the meetings and we just asked what kind of rents we were talking about, I don't remember hearing any rent higher than like about $2,700 a month, but she said that this one, because it's a corner and it had all the windows, was a little bit higher, but when we asked her what the other ones were, it didn't seem like, it was only like $100 higher than some of the other two-bedrooms. So I thought that was interesting. And of course, they go down if you go to a one-bedroom and stuff like that. Now, they're kind of doing a soft opening. They have 18 apartments rented at that point. Someone was actually moving in as we were going around the building.
Right, I saw that too.
And the apartments are really lovely, but they are, I mean, we did ask for small, and they're a little bit small compared to, well, of course, to compare, but even, even.
Compared to
the-
Northgate?
Yeah, compared
Because
to.
those are big.
Yeah, I think compared to Northgate, they're a little bit small maybe, but not too far off. I mean, actually, on the corner one, the living space is bigger than the two-bedroom Northgate I
Right.
saw. So I think it really going to count on the units. Kind of like the Spectrum. If you've been through the Spectrum, I've seen like 8 units in the Spectrum, and they range in all kinds of sizes, like all over the place. But one of the things she did say is that they are still trying to figure out their niche in terms of marketing. That they had some people come in that were like renting at the Spectrum, not owners, but renting there, who were kind of looking at it and really would have preferred to have a two-bedroom den. These were older couples that did not have children, but I guess had not really downsized enough to not have that den. So that's, I don't know, I thought that was an interesting thing, because in the Northgate, they weren't having any trouble with that, but the Northgate, when we went in, they had a lot of younger people doing the two bedrooms, because they both have their own bath, and they were having them split the rent. But again, I think that it's going to, Northgate is still walkable to the metro. And,
Oh,
if you really
very
think
much
about,
so,
yeah,
yeah.
comparatively. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see what they end up, how the West Broad goes. But she said that they had people in from Pearson, the Spectrum, renters, like even in the Byron, there are some people that are renting, even though they're condos. And they had people in from the Arlington buildings that are next to Northgate, the 2 lower buildings. So, so they've had a lot of people looking at it. And so anyway, it's just, I was surprised at how high the rents are. And I kind of was thinking, she said they're getting some pushback on the size of units, and I thought maybe that's because of the rent you're charging.
But to follow up on that, it's not only that the rent is high, but there is nothing included in it.
Yeah, the parking.
Absolutely nothing. You have to pay water, electricity, pay for parking spots, and if you want a special parking spot, it's even more expensive. If you have a pet, it's a certain amount per month, which is not that unusual, but it was adding up, and I'm looking, and about the units, they were very, very attractive, but compared to Northgate, you had a total separation of the bedrooms. Here, they're right by each other,
Yeah, in some
which
cases,
is going to
yeah.
make a little difference with people sharing. But I thought the amenities were very attractive, but it is, I think, just so expensive.
Well, I will say that this had the best amenities of any building built in the city. They had full gym, they have a training room, they have yoga people in there, so that's all part of your package. They had grills and patios everywhere. So like you really literally, it's, the Spectrum has some nice outside space, but it's a limited amount of outside
Right.
space. This had enough outside space for everyone. And, so in terms of amenities, they were really high. But you're right, they're really pushing pets. Most of the apartments I saw had pet stuff in it, like saying, hey, bring your pet to this apartment. But, the marketing people were really sharp.
Oh, they were.
And,
And they're very much, I talked to them about inclusion within the community, and they're very willing to really get information. They've got tracking, the TV monitor where they can put all the activities in the
Right.
city on there. And so that was very possible. Oh, you pay extra for much more for a balcony, too.
Yeah, if you get a balcony. No, I mean, definitely, there's everything.
I mean, it was
is-
going up like 3,800.
Yeah.
Well,
so-
I have to say, I went to try to look at them, and I was out walking with my walking partner, and we stopped to look at it, and because the woman was saying, oh, come on in. Well, she wouldn't take me up to see it because I didn't have a picture ID with me.
Oh, yeah, you do have to have a picture ID.
Oh, so can you walk in to take a tour of the apartment?
Well,
They'll show
take
it
your
to you.
passport or
Yeah,
your picture ID.
Well, on Saturday, they were having like an open house kind of thing, so it was
Yeah, they
specific.
promised champagne, they didn't have it.
Yeah, but they had very good red velvet cupcakes, according to my daughter who went with us, because I said there'll be food. So, But, because she was tired, she came from basketball, and she was like, I want to go home. I said, but there'll be food, so she came anyway. But, yeah, it was funny, they asked for picture IDs, and they said that that was a rule now, because they'd had people in the building and had something happen, and they didn't know who they were exactly, and so now they hold the ID while you're in the building.
Well, my friend had an ID. I mean,
Well, I
I
guess.
must have looked like a shady character.
No, I think, but they were more like people, they've had like health people, like people have like.
Did you tell them that you
Like heart
approved
attack.
that darn building?
Yeah.
I didn't want to get into all that. I was afraid they'd look up some of my votes in the building.
No, but anyway, it's a very beautiful building inside. The finishes were gorgeous.
Good parking garage, too.
And the parking garage was pretty
Oh, good.
Good parking garage.
I'm
We
still-
are into looking at parking garages
I'm still
nowadays.
concerned about how it's going to work on the Annandale side, but, we'll see when the Harris.
Well, I think what's interesting is the Mr. Gudenkopf, who spoke tonight, talking about the pressure gauges or pressure
Points, yeah.
points, whatever he was mentioning, seeing how the traffic works, going out on Annandale, coming out on Broad, because one of the things we were concerned about was the left turn.
Right.
And Harris Teeter wouldn't go in there without the left turn. So we pushed to get that left turn going west into the project. My feeling is that once people find out it's a real pain to turn left there, they'll go around to Annandale Road.
Right.
But that doesn't help Annandale Road, so.
Yeah, but Annandale Road already has, so it's definitely a road that people use to get from one side of the city to
it's
the
a
other.
well-used
It
road.
is what it is, but, and they do have like a lot of, they have the big parking areas along Annandale that were empty for years, so they'll actually probably be used now. Along the bowling alley, that parking, you go by, I mean, when I had to go to TJ all the time. Where am I going to keep an RV? Well, that's true, and that's what happened, people would just park like, equipment there.
Yeah, I
And
know.
it was so
And
empty.
then you couldn't get out of the post office because you couldn't see down that street.
Right, exactly, so that'll change that. I also just want to mention, I went to my first historic commission meeting, and nothing really major, they're just kind of planning for the year, the kind of projects and things that they want to do, so
Is this their first one of the year, or because I know they have trouble getting a quorum?
this was the first one, right? Yeah, it was. Yeah, because we were going to do January. So, yeah, and they are looking for people. If you care about history and the historic values of our community, the Historic Commission would love for you to join them.
Put that in the minutes, Deborah.
Yeah, but I mean, and there's a lot of really fun stuff in the city that's related to the historic past that and we could always use more markers and more events and more things. And I think that we've had the same people kind of holding it down, and they probably do need some new blood to try to energize it. But, one of the things I was really interested, I asked them if they, with SOLs, there's a whole grade at TJ, I guess it was fourth grade, right? That's Virginia history. And I asked if part of the unit, they used examples of the local community, like Cherry Hill Farmhouse, because a lot of what they talk about is like what you did in the different parts of Virginia. And it turns out that we have offered curriculum to the schools, and the schools have never taken it up. And that Tenor Hill had offered curriculum that would have blended in with the SOLs for civil
Right,
rights,
right.
and the schools were not interested in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real shame, because the kids live here, and why wouldn't we want to take
Be
them and
much
walk
more
them down to,
meaningful.
like from TJ, you could walk over to, well, when the arch is back, you could walk over to the arch in Tenor Hill and talk about it. And what my kids learned was totally aligned with the history we already have, so why wouldn't you integrate it? It didn't, like, why wouldn't you go to Falls Church when you're talking about the Civil War and talk about the fact that it was a hospital during the Civil War? I don't, or go to Fort Taylor Park and talk about the balloon going up there. But I just think that's a shame, because I get it when it doesn't, you can't sync it in with SOLs, because these are totally things that would work within SOL. So I think that, I don't know, I think they're tired of trying to push it, but I kind of want to like push them to push
Yeah,
it some
well,
more.
go for it. Go for it. Okay.
Any other? Okay,
Oh,
Lindy?
yeah.
Okay.
EDA meeting was quite active about a whole lot of things. They went over the Virginia Developer Proffer legislation, which we will hear about in due time, I guess.
Are
Cindy.
they concerned with that or not? Because,
Yeah.
we're exempted.
Right, in many ways we're exempted, but it's getting, I talked with Cindy downstairs and Jim before I came up, and they said there's going to be some additional info on it and stuff, so they're keeping an eye on it. But Cindy gave a very, very detailed talk about it. They talked about the downtown public plaza, and they would, go with what the money they had and see what would happen. There is a new economic development office website that called choosefallschurch.com and .org that will give out a lot of information on business opportunities, and there's quite a few things, interesting things on it. And it will be connected to the city website. The other things that they really looked into is revisions to the technology zone and commercial property tax abatement, and looking to see how that could affect more development, commercial office space. And so they were really looking at it, particularly to try to get 400 North Washington in. And so there was quite a bit of talk about the technology zone and the commercial property tax abatement. So they're still working on that and looking, as I said downstairs, looking for ways to incentivize commercial. Through that.
Can you fill me in on the property tax abatement discussion? It seems to me that one of the things we're depending on to help us with our infrastructure, funding our
Right.
city is property tax, and that most of it's falling on residents as opposed to commercial. And so we're being encouraged to do these mixed-use developments so that we could get more commercial property tax, and then
But I think
we're
at
going to
this
turn
point-
around and give them an abatement?
On a total commercial
Oh,
development.
on total commercial
Total
only.
commercial development. All office, and to get developers to come in here and build. Another thing that came about was, in talking with Bob Young, who's doing the redevelopment of down on Fairfax Street, across from Falls Church Episcopal Church, in that shopping center. He's having trouble getting restaurants in because there's no lunch business. So here, I know.
If he has a good restaurant, there'll be business.
But just the people that are really good restaurants, they said there's not enough lunch business. So a lot of this kind of goes together, to get the daytime traffic, because you go into a lot of the places and there's not much lunch business either, that we already have.
You really only see busy lunch on Fridays.
Yeah. But I thought that they were really moving along to get some good ideas out there, and they're working very hard at some incentives and looking at them, hoping to have it together pretty soon.
Anyone else?
Oh, one of the big questions they did have, and I did not have an answer to it, they were asking why we still have the MER in zoning.
What difference does it make if we don't use it? Well, anyway, I won't say that. Quaffo, anything?
Yeah, I didn't have an answer.
I'll make a very short report on the public safety renovation for the city. I filled in for Melissa.
I was
Thank
there
you,
too.
Yes,
thank you,
and
Lindy and
Melissa-
Ruth, for going,
Lindy
because
was there too.
unfortunately it was during the middle of the day, and it's very hard to go
Well-
from Old Town Alexandria to here and back and still go to
It
work.
was a very good meeting. We met a potential developer, architect of the firm that wants to develop the property.
Very impressive.
And they talked about a different model to use, which is kind of a design-build thing. They called it a construction management at risk. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
And they made a very good case that this is a model that they want to use for this particular thing. The other thing was, they said, there's no question that they're going to go for LEED Silver
Oh, good.
and hope for more. And there were several projects that this particular architect had done that were LEED Platinum. So I thought that was a good
I
development.
looked on the website, and it was really good. There was
I-
lots of good
I
stuff.
was encouraged
No,
by the
can't
meeting,
say it.
Oh,
and,
you can't say.
no, we can't say. No, it wasn't a
No, it
secret
wasn't
meeting, it's
secret.
just that they haven't awarded the.
requested it.
Yeah, and so we'll know by tomorrow. But it was very encouraging.
I was very impressed.
It was very encouraging, and it sounds as though they're moving ahead. They're not going to have to do a referendum because they're doing the projects piecemeal, and they all have to do with, not all of them, but some of them have to do with safety. All of the representatives from the different departments, city departments were there, and they all had input, and it was very interesting to go to that. So I appreciated the opportunity, Melissa. Thank
And
you.
all the. Thank you for going. Yeah, all the info that was gathered over the past 8 years is also, going to be included and, as background information. I think one of the most interesting things that came up towards the end was whether to move people out and renovate or renovate in place. And, it might be a lot less expensive to move people out and get it done.
Yeah, that's what Keith said. Was
Yeah,
his
Keith Thurston
experience.
brought that up,
Yeah.
and I thought that was a very good.
Yeah. All right, well, if, the planning director's not here, did he give you anything that we need to know?
No, we just have a few upcoming items. Saturday, the April 2nd Planning Commission retreat, that's coming item. And development review projects, we have Broad in Washington, we have the Tradition Place project coming up, we have a special use permit as well, among other interesting projects in the pipeline.
All right, I do have a question about a potential project at Broad and North Washington Street on the corner of Broad and North Washington, across from Melissa's business. And we haven't seen anything at all on it that I know of, and I've had several questions from people in that neighborhood. And what I said was, well, we haven't seen it yet, and they said, well, we're meeting with the developer, so.
They're meeting with the developers.
So it would be interesting to know, have we received an application? I mean, they're asking me questions that I can't answer, so.
Broad in Washington?
Broad in Washington.
Yeah.
The
we do.
first
You
bullet
do have
point.
something,
Yeah, we do have an application.
but we haven't seen it. It
You
hasn't.
have not seen it. No, it has not come to you or the city council.
How about EDA or
It has-
EDC?
It has been through EDC, I believe.
EDC.
A couple of
Yeah,
times.
EDC,
Don't
yeah.
quote me on that. I can get you the information, but it has gone to EDC, but it has not come to Planning Commission or the city council.
So we
yet.
don't have anything loaded on the website yet, because it's not been formally.
It
the
is
pro-
actually on the website.
Is it on the
Broad
website?
Washington
Website.
project, if that's
Okay.
the project you're referring to, it's on the website.
Okay.
All the submission materials are also posted on the website as well.
Okay, and can you tell me what it's called, so I look it up on the website? Because I'm being asked to meet with these people, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's,
Anything.
the informal name for the project is Broad in Washington.
Okay, Broad in
Yeah.
Washington.
Not sure if they're going to change that in time, but
Okay, good. Thank you, that's very helpful.
of course.
Is there any more business to come before us? If not, I would entertain a
I
motion to
move
adjourn.
To adjourn.
All right, we
And
are
go home.
adjourned.